A couple years ago, I began a quest to find a soulful connection with Judaism. I felt like I was on Jewish autopilot. It seemed like my biggest ritual was identifying what food item differentiated each holiday meal. Apples and honey at Rosh Hashanah, matzo ball soup at Passover, yummy latkes at Hanukkah. Then a conversation with my daughters, Rebecca and Leah, woke me up. They're in their 20s, and we were talking about the real possibility that they may not marry someone Jewish. We all agree love comes first. And then I say, you're gonna raise your kids Jewish anyways, right? Right? Silence. Finally, Rebecca says, debatable. And Leah says, religion isn't relevant. Religion isn't relevant? They became bat mitzvahs. They love their Jewish socialist summer camp, the same one that Amy went to, where they chopped vegetables and sang freedom songs. Where did I go wrong? They offer as consolation, Mom, chill out. We love the food and family parts of Judaism. But synagogue, not so much. They stopped going years ago. So I wonder, are a couple meals a year enough to keep Judaism alive in my family? I'm not sure. So for the sake of my unborn grandchildren, I decide I'm going to become a more observant Jew, and then maybe, just maybe, I will receive divine guidance that will help me convince my daughters that religion is relevant. I take that normal first step. I go shopping for a synagogue with my husband. Our old shul felt too old school. We discover guitar-playing rabbis, dancing Torahs. We were dancing out here in the streets, and an evening of yoga, Kabbalah, and sushi. It's like a new kind of date night for us. But after several months, the novelty wears off, and we drift back into our old kind of date night of drinking wine and falling asleep in front of the TV. But I am no quitter. So I devise a new plan of connecting with the eternal source of answers. I'm going to pray in my living room every morning for 40 days. Why 40? Well, during my praying research, I was reading a book called Jewish with Feeling, and in it said in 18th century Poland, Rabbi Eli Melech of Lishensk said, he really said this, if you want to start a new habit, do it for 40 days to get it going. I announced my praying plan to my daughters. Their reaction, that sounds boring. I'm not deterred. Armed with a children's prayer book and a mother's will to be right, I learned to navigate a Jewish morning service. Morning prayers appeal to me because they're filled with gratitude, and I could stand to be more grateful. Even though I live a comfortable suburban life, sometimes I wake up and I'm grumpy. And then sometimes grumpy takes a dark, sad road into weepy. Anyways, day one, I'm ready to get started. I pull out my children's prayer book. It's the Red Cedar Reinu my kids used in Hebrew school. I open it up, and I start with Modeh Ani, a prayer where you express gratitude that you woke up, you find that everything is basically working, and you have the gift of a new day. I go on to praise the Almighty for the earth, sight, and insight, strength to the weary, and that crusty junk that you wipe out of your eyes in the morning. All this praising the Lord feels awkward, but the more I practice, the more the discomfort wears off. A few days in, I'm pretty proud of my praying progress. So I call each of my daughters and I say, I'm pretty proud of my praying progress. They both have the same reaction. If it makes you happy, Mom, go for it. But it still sounds boring. And praying does bring me joy. In the mornings, I have the whole house to myself, and I can sing as loud and off-key as I want. And animated praising makes me think of waterfalls in Oregon, and the Grand Canyon, and kisses from my daughters when they were little, and they would still listen to me. In just a week, Grumpy and Weepy have left my morning routine, and out of respect to the magical divine, I put on a bra and stop praying in my pajamas. I'm having lunch with Leah, and I say, all this morning gratitude makes me feel closer to God. She says, glad it speaks to you, but you sound come to Jesus to me. She thinks praying to God is weird. What is God? I struggle with this too, and there are rabbis that can explain it a lot better than I can. I just decide to hedge my bets and believe in God. Not in an old man with a beard kind of way, but in an unseen force greater than us way. Because as I look toward the second half of my life, I know Grumpy and Weepy are not gone for good. And I want to find comfort in praying to God. But about 21 days in, that beginner bliss has transformed into a tedious repetition of endless thank you gods. I'm starting to agree with my daughters. This is boring. And then I remember Rabbi Eli Melech of Lishensk. I need to make it to 40 days. I invest in an adult prayer book with soulful translations about love, hope, and repairing the world. I find self-help style interpretations of the weekly Torah portion. And on YouTube, there's a surprisingly large amount of rabbis on YouTube. I find one who is a guitar-grooving rabbi, and I dust off my own guitar, and I play his catchy Hebrew school tunes. As 40 days wraps up, I find that I'm oddly addicted to praying. So I keep going, and I keep talking incessantly about it to my daughters until I get them to break and admit they indeed plan to keep Judaism in the family. But they have 3 stipulations. 1, I need to help them find a Hebrew school less torturous than the one they attended for those grandkids I'm counting on. 2, I need to pay for said Hebrew school. And 3, I just need to stop talking constantly about the praying. Deal. My husband and I go shopping for a synagogue again. We find one we like. We now go once a month instead of once a year. And I find a great deal of comfort in praying in community, and I still pray in the mornings pretty regularly. And in closing, I just want to thank God. I didn't think that would be funny. Because not only did I win the argument with my daughters who are sitting right over there, but I just got to talk about the merits of praying with you in this beautiful Broadway of synagogues. Pretty cool. Thank you.